Hey, welcome. It's me, Dave LaMont, back on the air here with a nooner. It's been a little while. In fact, it was so long since I last did one of these. I actually had to reconnect StreamYard, the service I use, to Facebook. So, okay, it's been a little bit. So I've been lazy, and I've been actually busy a little bit with some PWA, Professional Women's Bowling Association shows, both on CBS Sportsnet and on Bowl TV. So I've got that going for me, which is nice and which has been wonderful. And a quick congratulations to Brianna Cote for winning yesterday. I wasn't at that particular show, but Brianna really bowled beautifully and has bowled beautifully all season long and has to be in absolute contention for back-to-back Player of the Year honors. So there. Once again, Shannon O'Keefe made a show, which she makes more shows than the announcers do. So she continues her fantastic play over this year. Danielle McEwen, although she lost in the finals, has been solid all year. So it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy that tour, and I hope you find ways to support it. You can go to Bowl TV and get a membership and watch that way. Whenever the ladies are on CBS Sports Net, not CBS Sports, but this is the All Sports channel that CBS has. Watch that when you can. They're really wonderful, wonderful folks to talk to, and so many of our conversations when you're trying to talk about bowling can wander in all sorts of areas. So it's really cool when I get that chance to do that. So a few things here. Nothing. I'm not even sure where to start because I want to talk about LIV golf or 54 golf or LIV or whatever you want to call it. And I also did something yesterday that I hadn't done, I think, in 3 years. And it has nothing to do with, ooh, you sat out because of the pandemic. No, it's not it at all. But I want to start with LIV golf. And this is why I've spent some time, because I apparently have a lot of golf in my Twitter timeline. So it seemed like anytime I would go there, and I go to Twitter a couple times a day just to check, see what's going on. Maybe somebody has sent something to me. And it's just LIV golf stuff everywhere. And it was the first weekend, so you knew it was going to get some extra publicity. Now, I did not watch any of it, and I don't have any plans to watch any of it. Right now, even though you have some name golfers like Dustin Johnson and Phil Mickelson and these guys, these are guys that are on the downsides of their careers. Ricky Fowler, although not an older golfer, he's mid-30s, has disappeared from being a contender on the PGA Tour. I mean, he rarely contends. I can't tell you how many. And he, by the way, he does seem like a pretty good bloke, although I've lost a lot of respect for him here. And there's so many articles in the last 3 years. What's wrong with Ricky Fowler? Why can't Ricky Fowler win? Why can't Ricky Fowler? I don't have an answer for that. Golf is a pretty goofy game if you play it at whatever level. It's one of those games, and bowling is somewhat like that, where in golf, sometimes you can hit it just as well as a professional, just not very often. And then most of the time you hit it like a clown. And it's very humbling that way. So I don't know what happened to Ricky Fowler, but I know this: he sold his soul. Now, plenty of you are going to argue, hey, free world, free market, how do you turn down that kind of money? Completely understand your argument. And I'm not even saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I don't agree with you. There's a difference. To me, right and wrong comes down to facts more than it does opinion. You can be, I guess, well, even, I guess I can say I don't like your opinion. I think your opinion is wrong. But if your opinion is backed a little bit by facts, it's okay. I get that guys are making exorbitant amounts of money that they can't make on the PGA Tour. I get maybe they're unhappy with the PGA Tour, want to flip a middle finger over there, because Greg Norman apparently, and I didn't even realize the depth of his obsession from what happened in 96, 97, when they rejected his world golf idea and then took it and made the World Golf Tour, which they made a fortune off of, and Greg Norman got bupkis. So he's just a bitter, middle-aged, soon-to-be old man, but he launched something that may well work out. I don't think that this golf tour, this little short tour, is going to go away. I don't know if it's going to be a full year-round proposition. And here, I'll just get right to the core of it. Now, first off, I, as you know by now, despise some of the people on there. I'm not a big Dustin Johnson fan, although obviously he's ridiculously talented, but he has, I get that. I don't like Sergio Garcia. I don't like Phil phony, unctuous, lying, degenerate Mickelson. Never been a fan. So to see him be like the tip of the spear on this thing, no problem at all. Shows up in that, weird looking outfit with the big eyes. Like, where'd you get those from, buddy? And the scruff and all that. Whatever. If one of these guys would just say, "Hey, I'm here for the money," I would respect that more than this bullshit of growing the game. You're growing the game on YouTube. Listen, I understand YouTube is pretty popular, but by the way, you can subscribe to my channel if you'd like. I could use a few more. But come on, man. That's not how people are largely consuming golf these days still. So you're not growing the game. Yes, there'll be more who will defect. I don't know about any actual name players or guys who are really good right now, like the leaderboard they had yesterday in Canada, which was a big break for the PGA Tour. If they had a bunch of guys just off a small tour or lesser known names compete in Canada, that probably would have looked bad. And then you get Rory McIlroy, bless his Northern Irish heart, talking about, "Hey, I just passed somebody with my 21st win." Oh, yeah. It turns out that it's Greg Norman, bitter, angry, Greg Norman. So here's what bothers me the most. And this is, and yes, it's the Saudis. And it's the fact that it's been pretty well established that they funded 9/11. And in case you're not sure about that, check out I think it was in the New York, one of those rags in New York, the Post of the Daily News. Normally, I wouldn't give them any kind of interest, but I read this article because apparently they sent to either LIV Golf or they sent out a 9/11 widows group, sent out a letter protesting this. And now, of course, I wanted to make the joke. I'll go ahead and do it here. That with a $200 million, Mickelson can now fund his own 9/11. And since they own his ass, they may make him do it. Actually, that $200 million is probably 3/4 gone anyway with his gambling problems. You'd think he'd be smarter. The guy's not stupid. He's just unctuous. But anyway, 40 million in debt, dude, you're a father. Anyway, that's what bothers me. Now, you're going to say, "But Dave, the U.S. government does horrible things too." I know. U.S. government says Saudi Arabia is an ally. I know. Doesn't matter. The U.S. government isn't paying golfers to play in a revenge tour or this new term of sport washing, which is like money laundering for sports to make themselves look legitimate. Hey, look, my new obsession in Formula One is hooked in with him. There are other sports that have become hooked in with them. They bought a Premier League soccer team trying to make themselves look a little bit more legitimate. And sports being sports and the fact that fans will root for whatever they want to root for passionately, they're gambling. And I think it will work out that with enough names and, some twists in the format, no cuts, 3 days, shotgun start, which is what you put people on different holes. And instead of the traditional, we're going to tee off on number one kind of thing, everybody tees off and plays the same order. It's like what you do when you play in a charity tournament. You in the big dog tournament that I'm involved in with the Broward County Humane Society, you put everybody out on different holes. You don't actually shoot a gun because in South Florida, somebody would undoubtedly get shot. And then you just play. That's a shotgun start. I guess in the old days, they probably did fire a gun or a starter's pistol or something like that. Anyhow, that's my problem. Plain and simple. These are the people, and you're conveniently forgetting about that. And here's what I'm kind of hoping for. And I say when they're conveniently forgetting about it, I mean the people who signed up for LIV, and especially galling for American golfers. Now, Dustin Johnson probably doesn't even know what 9/11 is. His intellectual capacity is somewhat limited, supposedly. But I know some other people who do. And where are we going for the U.S. Open this week, where these LIV golfers are eligible to play? And that would be in the Boston area, Brookline, Mass. Boston, Logan Airport. Where a lot of this crap started. I would love to have sat in on the conversations. Did they just give him the big check and say, "Here, just take it. Don't worry about anything. We'll take care of it." They own their butts, by the way. Try wiggling out of a tournament, or try wiggling out of an obligation, and Lord knows what's going to be asked about them to do behind the scenes. But that's what troubles me, that you're rolling into bed for a profit with murderers, people who funded murder, people who funded a day that changed this country forever and killed thousands of people, ruined even more lives. Just imagine the death toll at 9/11 and all of the lives attached to every one of those victims. So the death, in that way, goes into the tens of thousands of people. These guys don't seem to be worried about that. Haven't heard anybody address that yet. If they have, I missed it, and I'll apologize for that. So this is my problem. That's why when they call it blood money, those who are calling it blood money, this is what they're referring to. And I don't normally go all Captain America on things, but this troubles me. I don't like it. And we'll see how they're treated. We'll see if it affects their play at all. We'll see if American fans will look at it from this angle, or will we be much more typical of the way we are as capitalists? And listen, I'm pro-capitalist. All right. I like money too. And give these guys a hard time. Now, I'm talking about this with my golfing buddy yesterday, and he said, well, wait a minute now. Suppose somebody came to you and offered you, $1 million a year or whatever they're paying the Formula Premier League announcer. Is it Arlo White? I'm sure I've heard him. To do it, you take it, right? And I go, it's not as easy as you think. He goes, aha. He gave it me the Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. Aha, aha, aha. But it's not that. It is the money. Yes, of course. Somebody makes you an offer like that, you'd be a fool not to consider it. But at the same time, I just don't know. It's not that easy, because I would think about where this money, came from, and the people that did, look into Saudi Arabia. It's not the freest country in the world, okay? And as much as we bitch about things over here, and I bitch too, we are a relatively free country. We can criticize the government. We do it all the time, every day. Doesn't matter who's in the government, we hate them. So really, it doesn't matter, does it? We don't, right? We hate them anyway. So you can do that here. You can't do that over there. You have to kowtow. You have to toe the line, which is now means, at least in my interpretation, is what these LIV clowns are going to have to do. Toe the line, kowtow. So I just can't get behind it. And I don't know if I would take the job. And I'd love to have that kind of money, and whatever they're paying the announcers. I'm sure it's handsome. They're certainly spending everything they can to make everybody comfortable. They're taking care of the caddies. There's private this, private that. And if that's what you're into, considering the source, then I can't stop you. Go for it. But understand why there's going to be resentment from people like me. And if you're too dumb or too self-absorbed, might be a better word than dumb, self-absorbed, to understand this, then you're the problem. So forget about LIV Golf. It's probably the last time I'll talk about it, unless some other controversy erupts. Supposedly they made an offer at Tiger, but he's not even healthy enough to play with me at the course the other day. So I didn't think he was going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it anyway. Lord knows he's had his share of bad publicity, many of his problems were self-inflicted. And I don't think he wants another self-inflicted problem. And he does not need the money, as he has reached the billionaire status just a few days ago. All right. So maybe I'm just feeling a little extra patriotic today, because I did something I have not done in years, which is go to a movie in a theater. Now, I'm not a movie guy in that way. I don't go rushing to the theater, and just forget about COVID for a minute, please. The last movie I saw in a theater, I went with my brother-in-law and a buddy, and we saw the Rush movie, and I do mean the band. And I think this is even before Neil passed. So that's 2018, 2019. Before that, it was the 35th or 40th or 40th anniversary of The Godfather in the theater. So I'm not a guy who goes, ooh, there's a new movie out. part of my problem is I can't relate to all these superhero movies because I saw Deadpool, which I really liked. That was in the theater in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Great town, by the way. Freaking love Kalamazoo. And I went because we had some free time. A couple people I like recommended it, said it's your sense of humor, which it was. But the CGI stuff and the excessive violence, I'm soft. I admit it. I may have said this to you guys before. I've gotten soft on violence. Like it starts to, I get a little creeped out with the excessive violence in movies and TV. I used to be all like, kill, kill, kill. And it's, it's not as exciting as it used to be. It could be a product of either aging or growing up, or there's so much real violence that we don't need any more fake violence. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't, fire me up as much as it used to. But to me, and I read comic books, crap, if I had a tiny bit of brain and 9-year-old Dave knew that this stuff was going to be valuable, I had first edition, I think a first edition or the second ever Spider-Man comic when they came out, because nobody knew. It was like baseball cards. Nobody knew that these things, or sports cards in general, but baseball in particular, nobody understood that this would be valuable. You didn't think to yourself at 9 or 10 years old, well, I have this rookie card of who's this guy? Okay, he's valuable. No, your mom would throw them out after a while, which is what my mom did. Thanks. So, it's just, it's all weird to me. So anyway, and I realize they dominate the box office, but so many movies that are so successful are all about editing tricks and things like that. Yeah, and I just look at them and it just grows me cold. Or they're period pieces, not really into that. Like I never watched Game of Thrones, Downton Abbey, or these. As soon as I see like period pieces, costumes and accents, or fake animals, like I'm not a big Jurassic Park guy. Appreciate the success of the movies. Have a good day, But anyway, so the movie, but my wife wanted to see it, and I thought, why be a jerk? Let's go to the movies with your wife. We went and saw the Maverick Top Gun movie, and it's good. Now, what made us decide to go was a conversation we had with a neighbor, and I believe it's his stepson who is in the Marines, or was. And he was telling us about people who were men, were coming out of the theater just weeping. Weeping? I don't mean like, I mean like really choked up about all this. And that got my wife curious. Now, my wife is an easy cry. I'm a lot tougher. I do get emotional about a film or a TV show, but it's rare. It's got to be really good, and it's got to hit me in a certain manner. And a movie, it's been a while. So we decided, all right, what the heck? Tom Cruise needs a few more dollars, so we'll go. Now, again, first movie experience in a while. We went over at a mall, and before we even walked in, they were closing the gates. And we looked at each other like, wait, what? How did we get in? Well, the mall had just closed, so they're closing the mall entrance, so they had to open up another door, but that door said exit only, but then it became an entrance. Weird. So get a tickets, go in the theater. 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time, start. Film didn't start till 6:40. And by the way, the theater, they were playing stuff the whole time. I counted 7 previews, maybe 8 previews. And these previews, these trailers are not short. And none of those movies fired me up enough. I mean, the Lightyear movie, but it's not Tim Allen, but they're trying to I don't know what they're trying to do, but it's I could see, Minions. I'm not really into Minions. Although I do like the fact that Pixar and animation are certainly getting their due. And don't think I didn't have a backup plan that if I really didn't like the Top Gun movie, at some point I would sneak across the hall to go see Bob's Burgers, because that was my plan. But I didn't. I still hung it. I don't understand why anybody was weeping after this movie. I don't. Now, No spoilers here, except to tell you that Tom Cruise does not die in the movie. And was there a point where it looked like he might have? Yeah. Do you think he's going to kill that character? No. He wants, and I don't blame him, and he and his other producers want a feel-good movie. It ain't a feel-good movie if he gets killed in it. Now is it? So even though there's certainly situations that look dangerous, and getting out the way they get out of it seems utterly preposterous, but they do. And of course, there's the whole connection with Goose and all this other stuff from the other movie. And, I see why you go for the happy ending. It makes perfect sense. He gets the girl, he doesn't die, Goose's kid does okay. They did kill off Val Kilmer, but, I think the industry did a long time ago. Sorry. So it's a fun movie. The action sequences are terrific. They do a great job with all the pacing and all of that stuff. The climactic scenes involving, a lot of certainly some special effects and some incredible stunt work are really well done. I'll absolutely get that, man. That was very impressive. So I think it was certainly worth going. I'd like to go back to the movies again someday when I find something that interests me. Um, but I'm just not a movie person in general. I've been watching him on flights. I had never seen a Daniel Craig James Bond movie until the last two flights I took. I saw the first two that he did, which were Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, which were good. I liked them. I don't want to watch the one where he dies, which is the last one, No Time to Die, because he dies. And in my life, James Bond never dies. Now, my guess is whenever they crown a new Bond, whomever that may be, Idris Elba would be a fine choice, or make him 007, whatever you want to do if you want to give him the same name. They've got some splaining to do, but they'll figure it out. It's the movies, and we'll suspend anything for movies, right? We'll believe in dinosaurs, Well, let me rephrase that. Still living dinosaurs. I'm down with dinosaurs from a long time ago, but not now. So back to the movies one day, I hope. And I think, still to come, concert summers are coming. I've got tickets for my second visit with Joe Jackson, the British New Wave artist, who probably the song you can think of is She Really Going Out With Him, but he has a much deeper catalog than that. And when I was in Minnesota doing bowling, I saw him at a downtown theater in Minneapolis, and he was spectacular, just really good. So good that after I bought the ticket to Minnesota, which I did on the flight because a good friend of mine recommended him as a concert, and I was looking for something to do on my off night after the show, and this popped up, and I thought, okay. Then I come to find out he's playing 20 minutes from where I live, but I'm going back. The Doobie Brothers I was supposed to see. This is our second postponement now because of the tropical weather we had a week ago that fortunately wasn't too serious where I live. Further south, where Miami eventually will be completely underwater in 10 years, they had a very tough time with it because there was a boatload of rain in this thing. So the Doobies postponed to July. I have news for Tom and Michael and the rest of the guys. It'll probably rain then too. But anyway, and I've got Roger Waters tickets in August, indoors, thank God. I'm not as big on the outdoor shows as I used to be. I don't know if that's an aging product or the fact that I'd like to have some air conditioning with my evening. And look where I live, the capital of air conditioning in this country, besides here and the desert. But nobody puts on, and you're talking to a guy here who's been, or listening to a guy here who's gone to, I've lost count of how many concerts I've been to. I suppose I could list them, try to one day, counting nightclubs and little venues, stadiums, all that. It's well into the hundreds. Nobody I've ever seen has put on more visually spectacular shows than Roger Waters. And, well, hey, the Pink Floyd angle doesn't hurt either. So I can't wait to see his new tour, which is in the round. And so there won't be a bad seat. So I'm down for that. And I'm down. I'm done. So thank you. I really appreciate you tuning in. Please subscribe. Please do anything you can. Please help sponsor this. Please, please me. as the Beatles once said. I'll give you a quick recommendation, and I apologize, I've done this already. I tend to fly Delta more than any other airline, and they have a pretty good entertainment system, and they have some Hulu shows. Now, I don't have a Hulu subscription, but they have a Hulu show that's been running for months, and I think I watch it every single time. It's called McCartney 321. And it's 3 half-hour-ish episodes with McCartney and the producer Rick Rubin, whose name you may not know him, but chances are you've listened to something he's produced in the last 25 years. He's covered a lot of genres, from working with those Johnny Cash solo records to more contemporary artists in the last few years. Anyway, they just sit down in this sort of darkened room, and there's a piano nearby or a keyboard, or Paul has a guitar, and he explains and gives some of the history of his songs with Wings and, of course, with that other band he belonged in. And it just blows me away. I have not seen the Apple Plus, and I probably would like that. The Beatles, the detailed ones. I would like that. I'm a geek about that kind of thing. But the McCartney, just for the half-hour version, come on, man. If you haven't seen it, if you have Hulu and you've looked at it, you've got to see it. It's just so fascinating to me how he explains how all of this happened. That's it. I'll talk to you probably on Friday.